Hey, it's Dr. Tracy, and today we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do in your relationship every single day to change how you're feeling this year. Now, I recognize that by the time this episode comes out, we are already closer to the end of January, and I intentionally saved this episode for this time for a few reasons. First, I don't know about you, but my nervous system is not ready to tackle the new year ahead come January 1st. I'm at home with the kids. I'm just coming off of the holidays. I don't have time or space to tackle into that. So I recognize that for most of us, we might not be ready to enter into that conversation. So that was one of the reasons why I saved this episode for this time. And the other thing too is let's have the dust settle a little bit. Let's sink into this year and to see how are we feeling? What's working for us? Now that we've gotten through the shortest days without sunlight, now what is it that we need to do? And so I'm going to encourage you before we jump into today's conversation, just to do a little bit of a check-in with yourself. How are you feeling now that we are this many days forward in 2026? How are things working for you? What's not working for you? And the thing that you had hoped for this year, how's that going? Are you on track? Do you feel a little derailed? Do you just need a little check-in? Let's use this moment to do that now. And now let's talk about 5 things that you can start doing in your relationship today to start feeling closer. Before we jump into today's conversation, I want to let you know that my annual relationship check-in is still available for you to download. So I'm going to put that into the show notes here below. So go ahead and check that out. It's one of my favorite resources. I love printing this one out and going through it with Greg. Now, I will tell you, we have not gone through it yet. We have had colds and sickness back to back, and we just haven't had that time, but it's still on our to-do list. And so I share that because I don't want you to be navigating this time of year feeling like you haven't done the thing. What's the point? I'm too late. None of that is true. And instead, this is our chance for us to move through this time of year with more intentionality, with this constant resilience and flexing and being able to ask ourselves, how am I doing today? What do I need more of now? And I'm also going to link one of my favorite episodes with Dr. Megan Gallagher. We spent an entire conversation talking about that whole new year, new me kind of thing. And I just love Dr. Gallagher's perspective. She's actually one of the psychologists that works with me at my mental health clinic here in Ottawa at Integrated Wellness. And she just has so much to share. Plus, she's a dear friend of mine. And she's also taught me so much about intuitive eating and shifting into more body neutrality work. And I just think that she has so much to say. So I'm going to put that into the show notes. But now I want us to talk about those 5 things. So this is not about having this overhaul in your relationship. This is about you building more connection, you building safety, and it's recognizing that we all live busy lives. And so if there's one from today that you could start doing, choose one and write it down somewhere and then try to practice it for the next week coming forward. Don't try to do all 5 if life feels too busy right now, but I think you'll be able to integrate many into your routine. Okay. And if as you're listening, you are looking for a bigger dose, then come join me in the More Than Roommates Challenge. We are starting soon. This is my 10-day challenge. It has become one of my favorite things to offer for people. So this is where once a day you receive an email and you can do one of 3 things or you can do all 3 things. And I've created this challenge to meet you where you're at because people who sign up, some people have been feeling like roommates for 10 plus years. Some people haven't touched each other in 2 years. Some people are just feeling like the spark has faded and they're trying to get back together to feel more connection and play and excitement together. After today's conversation, you're looking for more. Join me in that challenge. One of my favorite ones. It's super cost effective. And so many people who come in tell me that they end up feeling closer within the first 3 days after they've just started to make some of these tune-ups of turning towards each other. And the exercises, here's the thing. You know what I'm going to tell you. You can go and kiss your partner for 6 seconds and that releases oxytocin. I'm not going to tell you to do that in the challenge. Instead, I want you to get to the end of the challenge actually feeling like you want to kiss your partner. And that's the motivation for my More Than Roommates challenge. So I've got the link in the show notes for you. Go check it out. And I can't wait to see you there. It's one of my favorite things that we do together. Okay. Number 1, the first thing I want you to look at in terms of what you can put in your relationship this year is your morning ritual. This is all about you starting the day off with connection. I recognize that for many people, you actually might not wake up at the same time, or you might be woken up with children. So I want to just put that caveat in there and to find a way that works for you. So So this is where you and your partner do not look at distractions. No emails, no phones, no social media. You do not need to do that stuff the first moment you wake up, because here's what happens. When you immediately go online when you first wake up, you are then filling your brain with the thoughts and the news and the experiences of everybody outside of yourself. And I think this is especially true for a lot of the couples that I'm working with who are navigating the challenging in-law situation, is that it is so easy to feel like everybody else is in their marriage and that their relationships are not solid and strong. And so instead, I say to people, you get your nervous systems together and calm and regulated, just the two of you. And that is such a powerful way to start your day. Now, depending on who you are, you might choose to do an exercise that brings you closer in terms of physical. So something physical that you might choose to do would be breath work. Can you do a meditation together? Can you breathe together? Can you take 20 seconds just to close your eyes, put your hands together, and take 3 slow breaths? That would be in for 6 through your nose and out for 6 through your nose. Nice, slow, even breath. For some people, it might be something a little more active in terms of maybe you decide to work out together or do yoga or gentle stretching on the floor. Maybe you even decide to pour your coffee together. Choose something that's going to give you that sense of togetherness. One of the things that Greg and I started doing in October was we bought a candle. I'm not really a candle person. The smells can sometimes bother me and give me headaches all day long. So we found one that had this really neutral smell. And so we've been lighting it in the morning. And with the mornings being darker, it's been a really nice ritual for us to have this light, this glowing light in the living room, and no phones, no distractions. We were getting into the habit of starting our workday as soon as we woke up. We were viewing it as we have to maximize our day. But of course, the cost of that is we actually end up being less effective throughout and our connection ends up suffering. So last fall, we bought this candle and now we spend the first 30 minutes. It's a luxury. I recognize that. It's a luxury. And our kids do sleep in till after 7. So we're able to get up early. We're early risers. But it's just been this one thing that has allowed us to be together. And you don't necessarily have to do a deep conversation, but something that we ask each other is, how is your heart and mind today? And that's a prompt for us to go inside and to share something with what we've been thinking about, where we're at, what's coming up in the day. So go to your partner today and express that you would like to do something as a way to connect with them in the morning. Now, I'm thinking about people who do shift work, who aren't actually seeing each other in the morning. Maybe it's even leaving a sticky note with their cup of coffee, and that could change the whole day for you. Okay, number 2, don't take everything personal. Here's the reality about our brains. Our brains are built to internalize things. And developmentally, this is what you did as a kid, that you experience the world as coming at you. And naturally, what children do is we blame. We go outwards. We blame others. We put things on other people. We don't have this kind of sense of agency within ourselves. I often think of this example with one of my kiddos who had said, "You tripped me." And I remember I wasn't even standing near them. And it was just this really powerful reminder of how egocentric our brains are when we're younger. And if we don't learn the skill of internalization versus externalization, we can often then get stuck in taking everything to mean something about us. So if your partner in a little bit of a mood, or if they say that their day was fine, if they left and didn't give you a kiss, or if they said, "Hey, I don't need your help right now," just something. We all have those moments. And it can come into us. It's almost like a vacuum. It's like, oh, okay, there it is. That's this moment that it hits something inside of us. And we go into this place of, are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? And that can just lead us into a whole negative spiral. When I'm working with people in therapy, our goal is to actually practice doing internalization and externalization. And sometimes we can get stuck in one or the other. Internalization often leads us to feel a lot of self-doubt and a lot of shame. When we get stuck in externalization, that's a lot of blame and not having agency and putting things on other people and even feeling like the world is happening to us. And a balanced approach in life is being able to say, some of this is me contributing to it, and the other part is this person doing X, Y, Z. And how do we do both? Or even externalization might be like, the other person is having a hard day. That's where the most generous interpretation can come into play. That's where we can say something like, hey, I can appreciate that they were a little bit short this morning because last night they told me they had this really big meeting coming up. So when it comes to partnerships, often what we get stuck stuck in is taking everything that's done as to mean something about us. And it builds our stories, the stories inside of us that can be really quick. These are your perceptions and assumptions. If you haven't yet, be sure to go check out my 10 questions to help you challenge those stories. I give you 10 questions that are going to walk you through just to reshift and get out of the negative assumptions that we so often make about our partners. So I've got the link in the show notes there. Go and check that one out. I love those questions because, hey, we all get stuck in our stories. But those stories can often sound like they don't care about me, or they're too busy, they don't have time for me, they're always upset with me. And one of the most powerful things we can do is to slow down the moment. I'm sure you have heard me say this over and over again, and I know you hear it from all kinds of other resources and self-help people, but here's the reality. When you can slow things down, this is Viktor Frankl's quote, that between a stimulus and a response, there is always space. And in that space, you get to choose. And being able to choose in there is something that's really important. We shift out of being reactive, right? And then we can shift more into responding. And responding can give you more time and space to decide, he kind of closed, Greg closed the kitchen cabinet a little bit harder. Like, is he upset with me? I'm not going to say, hey, are you mad at me right away? I'm going to give myself time and space to let that marinate and say, okay, what's actually happening here? What's going on? Is this something that I need to check out? Can I think of something that was happening in his space? Sometimes cabinets close loudly and he didn't mean it. Sometimes I'm more overstimulated by the noises around us. And so just that bit of a beat before doing anything else is really important to help you not to personalize everything. So number 2, every single day, practice not personalizing the things your partner does. And I would argue that this applies to lots of different areas in your life. Number 3, what you can be trying this year, every single day, to do differently in your relationship to feel closer to your partner: eye contact. All right, hear me out on this one, because whenever I assign this to the couples in my therapy room, and we actually do it as an exercise in my therapy room, it can produce a few giggles and awkward feelings and resistance, and I totally get it, but hear me out. So we are living in a very fast world, and the moment your brain thinks of something, you can pick up this powerful device in your hand and have the instant answer right there. And then you're drawn into your phone, your partner walks into the room and shares something with you, and you go, and then you're like, oh, well, that was harsh, or, well, what's wrong with them? Or, I don't even know what they said, and all the things. Okay. Or you're doing the dishes, or you're walking out of the room because one kid asked for his help with brushing hair and brushing teeth. And then your other partner is like saying something down the hall and you shout back, and all the things. You are missing each other in the everyday moments of connection. So number 3, increase your eye contact. Oh, I think this is so important. So here's what I want you to know about eye contact. Research shows that in classic experiments, about 2 minutes of uninterrupted mutual eye contact with another person can increase your feelings of affection and connection, even with strangers. So that's really interesting, because this is our brains wanting to connect with others. Now, here is the exercise that can help you feel more bonded with your partner. The first thing I'd want you to try is putting down your phones as soon as the other person walks into the room and looking at them. And Greg and I have gotten into this really tricky habit where we're actually talking to each other through the house. We've gotten better at saying to each other, I'm not listening because I can't hear you. Or one of us are saying, I can't hear you. Please come talk to me, because we just weren't hearing each other. And it was just this kind of side by side, rushed, and then frustrations because we're not fully listening. It's not great. So we have now been coming together, eye contact, and then talking to each other and really hearing and looking at each other. There's nothing worse than when and also too, we're in business together. So sometimes I'm doing something on my computer and he's saying, are you fully listening? Yeah, right? It's tricky. So if I'm like this and you're talking to me, I'm looking at my computer for those listening. If I'm looking at my computer and then you're talking to me, I'm not making eye contact, but instead I can pay attention slightly. I'm not giving you my full attention. And then also too, my brain's filtering things that you might not even want me to be paying attention to. And so we just lose so much information doing this. So here's what I want you to do. Every time your partner walks into the room, put your phone down, close your computer, check in with them, notice them. Okay, that's something you can do every single day. But the other thing with eye contact is try this exercise tonight and then come back and tell me how it goes. Sit on the couch with your partner, no phones, no distractions, and say, I want to try this exercise with you. And say, it's going to be awkward. Comes from Dr. Tracy. She's a couples therapist. She's worked with all these couples, and I just want us to try it. So you and I face each other. We're going to sit on the couch. We'll cross our legs or however feels comfortable. If you want, you can hold hands. You don't have to, but hold hands. If you want to bring it up a level, put your foreheads together, and then you're making eye contact. You don't have to do that one, but try something different. Try to get uncomfortable, and then put your focus together. And I want you to look at each other for 60 seconds. You might giggle a little because that's your nervous system saying, oh, this feels a little uncomfortable, but keep looking at each other, keep gazing at each other, and see if you can actually even sync your breath together. Now, if I think about 1 minute, it's about 6 slow breaths, in for 6, out for 6. It's probably a little bit longer. That's okay. So do that and then ask each other after, how did that feel? Because in those 60 seconds, you could be releasing oxytocin for each other. You might even be giggling a little bit, but that hormone in your body is actually the bonding hormone, which brings you to feel closer to your partner. It's the chemical that's released when you are having an orgasm, when you hug for 30 seconds, when you kiss for 60 seconds, or 6 seconds rather. That is the good stuff. So number 3, increasing your eye contact with your partner. All right, number 4. This one is such an interesting one because I think we lose it in so many different ways, especially with the busyness of life. Every day, can you find a way to play with your partner? All right, hang tight with me. You're probably thinking play, like we're getting out the Legos. If you want to get the Legos, get out the Legos. If you want to get out Play-Doh or paints or colors, something. But playfulness doesn't just have to be something reserved for kids. It's actually something we need lifelong. And it goes hand in hand with safety, emotional safety specifically, because we know that when kids play, they feel safe in their environment. That's really interesting. And also too, then, if I allow myself to play and be silly in front of my partner, that's part of emotional safety. So we're all building this all together. Play doesn't have to be a tickling session on the couch and giggling and laughter. It could be something like, put on that really silly song. That song that like just breaks you out into a dance. Oh, what did I put on the other day? I put on Starship the other day and I started really dancing and laughing with Greg in the kitchen. And my daughter was around, so she saw me do it too. And it's just one of those songs where like you have to belt out, you're pretending you're holding the microphone, or maybe it's like that 90s playlist that you have, whatever that is. Play with your bodies. Play with music and sounds, with words, with your hands. This is all about laughter and curiosity. And before I jumped on to record this, I heard someone say, this is so powerful. I heard them say, curiosity and anger cannot exist at the same time. Think about that for a moment. If I go to my partner with exploration and curiosity and play, that's not inviting anger, frustration, and resentment to show up. It's inviting connection and understanding. And that's what we want more of in our relationships. Some other common ideas that show up for people include playing board games together. Maybe your partner's a gamer. Have you ever sat beside them and learned that game? Do that this time. Or maybe it's about doing a yoga session together where they have to do it beside you, or there's some kind of mixing of bodies. Find some way to bring in laughter. One of the other ways we brought in play recently into our family was around having a joke of the day calendar. So each day someone would read a different joke of the day, and it just brought in this kind of silliness at the dinner table with the whole family. And it was something that really just brought us together. All right, so ask yourself today, how can I play with my partner? And I would also love to hear from you. Is this one of the 5 that I'm giving you? Is this one of the hardest? Or maybe number 5 will be the hardest. So I really do want to hear from you. Which one is going to be the hardest? So here's number 5. This year, let's take more accountability and repair. So this one is really interesting. It's such a deep, complex part of our relationships because truly so many people did not learn what it means to take accountability. People don't see parents repairing. People struggle to actually separate self and other in their relationships. So their partner comes to you and says, I feel so lonely. And the other person just hears that they're doing things wrong and they're failing and they're inadequacy or they're inadequate. And then they get defensive and blame and shut down, and away you go. And that's the negative cycle. The negative cycle is exactly what I teach you inside Be Connected, which is my relationship program. It is something that's been going on. I've started this program in January 2020. It has been amazing to see the reach outside of my therapy room so that people are learning the skills and tools I'm teaching them every single day. We have other things in the program like coaching calls. We have Dr. Tracy AI, where if you are in that moment where you're triggered, you just had a fight and you don't know what to do next, you come into my AI that's trained specifically on all of my work, and that will help you get out of that stuck point. But the piece here is that you have to understand what your negative cycle is in order to be able to problem solve. It's such a foundational piece that I find a lot of relationship teachings miss, because if you don't know how to get out of the cycle and the specificities of it, you're going to remain stuck. And then you can't get to the level of repair and accountability that you need to be able to get to. So here is a little snapshot of what's been happening with Greg and I as we've unfolded in our own cycle, because yes, we are human and get stuck sometimes. So what I've noticed is that I'll come to him, and this is a business example. I'll come to him and I'm really excited about this business idea, and I've talked about it 5 times. In my head, I feel like I've talked about it 5,000 times. And then he says, whoa, you're going too fast. You just run off and you don't slow down. And it was really interesting because I thought, oh, okay, so I'm at fault here for how I'm coming forward. But then the next thought I had was, but I didn't know what you wanted or needed. I didn't know that your perception of me or your experience even was that you were flooded or going too fast. And I really needed to understand that part. And so something that we had to work through was really this kind of accountability piece, me taking accountability for, yeah, you know what? I do show up really fast. My brain goes a mile a minute sometimes. And I can only imagine being in business with me and how overwhelming that must be. I had to sink into that accountability. And then at the same time, Greg had to sink into that accountability piece of how instead of him talking about his own needs in that moment, he was projecting outward and putting it out on me. So it was about me and needing to change. So that was a really interesting piece for us, because once we were able to identify this piece that we each owned, then we were able to start doing more of this repair work. And the repair work was, okay, how do I move forward next time? And if there's one thing that I have learned to really shift in our relationship, if you had met me 10, 15 years ago, I struggled with blame. I'm a really good blamer. And I remember this one really vivid moment where Greg was at work. I was trying to get the 2 kids in the car. I think I got them in the car. I was taking the Strider bike for my oldest. So I think he was 2. My other was still newborn season. So I'm trying to get the Strider bike in the trunk, and the grocery bin was left in the trunk. It's a place that we often left it. There was something else in there. I can't remember. But the story in my head immediately was, Greg always leaves things in the trunk. I always have to do all of this. Everything is so hard. My frustration would immediately go to blaming him. And I had to totally peel that back and really learn to repair quicker with him. So that's a story where he wasn't present. I might have texted him of like, you're always leaving stuff in the trunk. How frustrating. But I think here it's this moment where instead of being this person who is stuck in blame and pointing outwards, I learned instead first, I'm not going to be perfect in relationships, and I don't expect my clients to master and perfect this either. So please don't expect that of yourself. And at the same time, if I can learn to repair and own my stuff earlier, we are all moving forward in a better rate. I often come to these scenarios working with clients or seeing comments online, and a lot of people get into this stuck point of, but why do I have to be the one? And I know when it comes to taking accountability and repair, people will often say like, well, why do I have to be the one to acknowledge this? And I think something in our relationship dynamic, whether you're the more defensive person or the one who tends to blame more, we both can own what's happening in there. And that even though I wasn't the defensive person, I'm using quotation quote on my fingers, but even though I wasn't the defensive one or the one who, whatever the thing is, right? I still had a role in our negative cycle. And once I learned how to repair, it also invited space then for Greg to meet me in that moment. And that's why I share that recent story where the work example where I had said all these things really quickly, he pointed the fingers at me. I think there's just this element where when we can slow the moment down down and we can become more aware of ourselves and aware of how we show up in the dynamic, that is a really powerful place and starting point for us to actually create change. All right, let's go through those 5 one more time. And as you're listening, I want you to think, what is one thing that I could do tonight? Or as this episode wraps up, what is one thing that you could do? So number 1, create a morning ritual with your partner that prioritizes connection at the start of your day. If you can't see each other, or if the kids are awake already, write a note, leave a note on their bedside table, underneath their coffee cup, or written on the bathroom mirror. Maybe you do it the night before, something that reminds you of your connection. Number 2, don't take it all personally. It's not always about you. In fact, most times I would say it is not about you. And that's a powerful relational skill to remember. You are 2 different people. You have your own experiences, and your partner has to communicate their needs to you to let you know where they're at. So don't take it personally. Number 3, eye contact when speaking. This is a game changer. This is going to help you feel more connected and to be on the same team and just to have better understanding. And I want to add to that because I've noticed that's something that Greg and I have been doing a bit more of in our conversation, is when one person shares something, the other one will say, tell me more about that. Just as this invitation of, I'm listening, tell me more. Number 4, still wondering if this is the hardest. Number 4, play. I really do wonder if this one will be the hardest for people. So let me know what you think, but bring in play and laughter and pleasure. We need that even in just the small little ways. Send that playful text, send the playful photo of that time when you did something silly, or just put on the playlist or play the card game, some way to bring back connection. And then number 5 is all about accountability and repair. And before I forget to tell you, I have a full after the fight workshop that's inside my relationship program. That is where I teach you my 4 A's to help you feel closer and move through those difficult conversations. Because here's what I know, it's challenging. Repair is hard and we weren't taught it. So if you're looking for more support on that, be sure to check out Be Connected, my after the fight workshop that is tucked away inside that. It's such a good one. I really love that one. All right, let me know what you think about today. Write down those 5 things, put them somewhere where you'll be able to see them and be reminded of them. We don't go for perfect here. We go for small, frequent changes, trying something different each day, slowing things down, asking yourself, where am I in this moment? What do I need in this moment right now? That's one of my favorite questions to ask myself, and then to also honor it by listening to myself in that moment. If something resonated from today, please leave me some stars, leave some reviews, or click subscribe and share this with someone who you love. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today. And remember, you are right where you need to be. I have to remind you at the end of every podcast episode that this is for educational purposes only and does not substitute for the care from a licensed mental health care provider. See you next time.